This recording is done on 21st of March 2018. Success in a business environment is not guaranteed just by doing one aspect well. There are several life cycle elements that need to be conceived and executed well. Entrepreneurs operate in an environment with very less resources, be it any sort of capital or be it time. Hence, the cost of an oversight could become fatally detrimental. What follows is a series of concepts which are interlinked and interdependent. Primary purpose is to remind entrepreneurs of the many life cycle elements in a business. It is delivered from the basic notion that great and innovative ideas coupled with disciplined execution builds successful businesses. All of us get great ideas and we believe in them too. How do we ensure that these ideas have a relevance in the marketplace? How do we recognize consciously who are the stakeholders of our ecosystem? What are their pressing priorities? While our idea may have market relevance, what about the financial viability of the idea? Does it take too much to build? A skeletal P&L will guide us here. As we think of funding the business, why we should be smart enough to think about covering the risks of the founders too. While it may sound strange, even while the business is just booting up, why entrepreneurs should think about exit strategies. First year of any business is hard. How? A pragmatic first year operating baseline is critical for us to maximize resources and impacts. What is a configuration? How consciously thinking about the configuration of our offerings help us to be market savvy. We cannot be too early or too late for the market. How to recognize the market window and create an impactful market presence. How the consideration of revenues pale all other consideration. Not just revenue, but steady revenue. Also, what does quality of revenue mean? While the business has become operational, that is, customers, revenue, cash, etc., how an operating rhythm helps to maintain the momentum. We will elaborate all these concepts by grouping them into two phases, plan and fund phase, build and operate phase. We have grouped them for ease of understanding, and it is important for us to recognize, though shown separately, they are mutually influencing phases. With the help of 6 arrows, we subdivide these phases to delve into further details. An idea is born, but how do we check its market relevance? How do we go beyond our biases and use market realities as the touchstone? We should strive to understand the granular details of markets. Even if the general market trends are very promising, who is our customer? Does our offering solve a real problem? Who are likely to pay for our services? How easy or difficult is it for us to build? How do we make the offerings unique and create entry barriers for the competition? Are we addressing a need or are we creating a market need? While addressing an existing need is likely to give us good revenues rather quickly, Creating a market need promises discontinuous returns but will demand prolonged staying power. In short, our idea need to be vetted or sharpened with all of the above aspects for us to create a market relevance and impact. How will we respond to a question? Do we know who our stakeholders are? Who is the most important stakeholder? Does the importance change with time? How are they connected to each other? Easy and obvious answers to these questions will name customers and employees. But there is a tendency to forget the relative importance of other stakeholders. Let's take the example of a web-based learning software business which is available as a mobile app too. In the initial stages, it's critical to do everything to attract and onboard customers or learners. We need to market well, provide a great platform, fantastic user experience, and manage the learning progress too. But as the business begins to grow, that is, customer onboarding has hit a certain pace, the content creation engine has to keep up with it. The ecosystem that you operate has a content providers who are experts in various fields and they provide the content. While in the beginning, you may hyper focus on the online customers as a key stakeholder. Once you hit a certain business momentum, the content providers who are from diverse fields arguably need to get more attention from you to keep the content interesting and diverse enough. This will cater well to the learners whom you are onboarding. Content creation need to get your attention as an important stakeholder activity at this stage. Also, how do these stakeholders operate in the value continuum of the ecosystem? How do they relate to each other? Boundaries exist among the various stakeholders. We should be helping and not impeding their connectedness. In the learning business example, the content providers need to be helped by curating the content without expecting the content providers to learn new technology or methods. Value continuum boundaries, that is, how content is provided and then curated, should be easy enough for the content providers to provide and curators to curate. Similarly, we should think about the relative importance of all stakeholders in the life cycle of our business and make it easy for them to connect to each other in their value of the ecosystem. To that extent, your growth will be helped or hampered. While our ideas may have market relevance, how do we create realistic revenue models and schedules? In short, the financial viability of the business. This has a direct impact on the staying power of a business. A realistic revenue schedule will help to model the extent of cash reserve that's needed. Many startups, despite very promising business models, run out of cash or end up overestimating cash requirements. So they borrow too much or dilute too much. A disciplined P&L, skeletal P&L, which has revenues, cost elements in a realistic way will help immensely. The skeletal P&L help in more ways than one. It does not create artificial pressure to dilute the business since your cash flow models are very realistic. Good cash management helps to pay yourself early and reduce your personal risks too. Very interestingly, it makes you realize the intrinsic value of your business and hence help you begin to form your thoughts on exit strategies. P&L, which may take a monthly or a quarterly view, it has to be supported by a very strong operating plan throughout the life of the business. Operating plan will have all aspects of day-to-day management, project plans, hiring plans, product launch plans. In short, the discipline of running a tight operation. Operating plan will have specific details on whom to hire and when to hire. If you know a hired staff will become productive only in 2 months, operating plan will have necessary oversight to bring them on board early enough. If there is a requirement for real estate, rented or otherwise, it will have specifics which keeps the spending least and occupancy maximum. So, operating plan creates oversight not into just one aspect but the entire gamut of ensuring all aspects of your business fire together. Also, with strong operating plan, you are putting together a strong culture in the company. Many startups do the mistake of relying on the prowess of few people to pull the company together, but a strong operating plan will help everyone pull and deliver with high levels of predictability. So far, we looked to the plan and fund phase with the three arrows. The next three arrows will talk about execution, rather build and operate phase. While we build our products, offerings or services, it's very important that we consciously create configurations that are easy to be adopted by the market and easy for us to support during the life of our offering. Also, our configuration should be such that they are easy to change based on market dynamics. If we build monolithic configurations which need a complete overhaul for even the slightest change in the market demands, we will suffer as a business. Imagine you are in the business of providing personal net worth management software. The configuration should be such that it will cater to a novice or to an expert user who uses a phone or who uses a computer. It will cater to all of them since the configurations are not monolithic but is built from interdependent standalone components which work together. For any changes in regulation, say for example taxation, the configuration, if it needs lengthy and huge changes, adoption of your software becomes difficult. Lesser the adoption, lesser the revenue. So it is extremely important that we build offering, be it product or be it services, whose configuration are easily adopted by all the stakeholders in the value continuum. Modification should be easy. Also, as a part of the operating plan, it's important that we have very well thought out messaging for the markets, not just for your future customers, but for the entire stakeholder continuum, partners, industry bodies, industry influencers, third-party vendors, etc. So, even before your product or offering is becoming available, a strong positioning and a marketing message will be managed. This has four key elements: the message, the channels, frequency, and coverage. A message which positions the offering well. We think about channels as the various media through which we communicate. And a frequency, how often we communicate. And how does that cover all the key stakeholders? Such complete and frequent messaging prepares many of your stakeholders to be ready to adopt the offerings when it gets launched. So to speak, your marketing dollars will earn more bang for the buck. Neither too early nor too late messaging helps a lot in lead generation. That is, you will have a good understanding of the interest levels of the various potential customers and will help you a lot in closing sales deals. This helps a lot in revenue generation. All of the above help to build the proposition correctly and in a timely manner. It forces you to build for the market, launching in the right market window, neither too early nor too late. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. That is, you launch at the planned window with a configuration that is acceptable for the stakeholders. Say, for example, the 1st of June is the date of launch. There should be enough interim milestones in your operating and project plans so that they can be progressively managed. Though I am making an observation that is based on common sense, in many of the interactions with startups, it is not they are lacking in the ideas, but they lack in execution discipline. The ability to bring out the product in a timely and an acceptable manner will make a big difference. If the plans have been thought through and managed at the right level of detail, the outcome becomes predictable. So, you successfully build by adjusting for market needs and realities, which are really the guiding forces. As you go through the launch process, the markets will provide feedbacks or market themselves will change, which will demand adjustments in your offering. If you have thought about the right configuration and has a strong discipline of project and operating plans, you will be able to surely respond to these feedbacks and changes. The discipline that you have shown in planning will help you to respond well. For example, if you realize there is a new segment of customers who can provide new revenue streams, if your configuration and project plans are robust enough, you will be able to adjust the launch for this revenue stream. Launching in the right window, with the right positioning message, with a strong marketing efforts, with a configuration which can be easily adopted, ensures steady and quality revenues. Failure in any of these elements, we will suddenly find either revenues becomes late or even less. Guided by the markets, it's very important we build for realizing revenues, not just for some intellectual fantasy of ours which tells us how cool our offering is. Now we are entering another phase. Products, offerings are in the marketplace. We have revenues, we have customers. In short, you are in business. Now is the time to create a culture of operating rhythm. It helps the company's continued success in a big way. What are your quarterly and monthly deliverables? How to create a baseline against which we will have to show further improvements in performance time and again. Baseline establishes productivity and is a benchmark against which all our performance has to be measured. Operating rhythm also creates a culture of self-correction through strong review mechanisms which are self-repeating. This helps to catch mistakes early in the life cycle. Not just in one part of the business, but for the entire operation. This rhythmic and self-driven verifications and corrections create a culture that helps you to succeed in a big way and pulls the collective wisdom and efforts of the entire team. We have discussed here a set of fundamental notions for creating and growing a successful business through 6 concepts or 6 arrows. All these are supported by templates which helps to convert these notions into further details. That currently is beyond the scope of this introductory lecture. So, if you use markets as the touchstone for your ideas, while being very conscious of the stakeholder continuum, create a skeletal P&L supported with an operating plan which helps you to launch your offerings in a timely manner with good configuration and build for recurring revenues, which instills a self-correcting rhythm in your organization. The chance of you succeeding becomes multifold. Though we have discussed 6 separate arrows, in no way it's intended to convey they are mutually exclusive. In fact, they are mutually influencing, and we have shown them separate only for ease of understanding. Hope all these concepts are helpful to you and make you a very successful entrepreneur.